good guys in Washington, D.C., working in the Congress or the Senate. And there are some.
Yes.
And one of them is Congressman Gregg Harper, and he represents the 3rd District of Mississippi. And he's agreed to join us for the next few minutes. Greg, good morning to you.
Hey, Tim. Great to be with you and Ed, and can't thank you enough for all that you guys do to keep us informed and to stay in the fight. And always great to come on the show. And, you know, my history with American Family Radio goes way back, and have always enjoyed being there. And, you know, used to guest host Matt Friedman's show when he'd be on vacation. And I have a great respect for you, for y'all, because it takes hours and hours of preparation to get ready and to be up to date on the news and issues, and you guys do a great job.
Well, appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Hey, just for those who, where does your district go from?
Well, if you looked at the state of Mississippi, my district would be like the, we'll call it the beauty pageant sash district. How about that? It goes from northeast Mississippi all the way down through the central part, and I wind up on the Mississippi River in the southwest part of Mississippi. So it's a great district, 24 counties. I live just outside Jackson and Pearl near the Jackson International Airport, and got Mississippi State University in my district, and I've got Natchez in my district down there, and have I-20 over to Meridian.
But I got to ask you, Jackson International Airport, where's the international flight go to?
Well, you know, there's got to be some international flights in there somewhere.
To call it International Airport.
Wait, is Atlanta an international?
No.
You know, I think what they mean is that international people sometimes land there.
Well, Birmingham does the same thing. They call it Birmingham International.
Absolutely.
And
if you get a customs, office in there, you can get that designation.
Well,
but,
I just
but our airport is
I just thought you at least had to go to Mexico or Canada, okay?
Direct flight, you mean?
Yeah, with a direct flight to be called an international airport.
And Tim, I'm going to report back to you on that.
Please do. Make that one of your top priorities. See how many congressmen you get to sign on to that one. Hey, let's you guys are working the conservatives in Washington, having to do battle with the Obama administration, and now for 5 years, I guess, had a big change. I'm just curious your thoughts. I know we've only got a few minutes with you, but in 2000, President Obama was elected in 2008, right?
2008.
Okay, in 10, there was basically a national revolt, and a lot of your colleagues were added in the conservative movement were added to the rolls. It was an unprecedented swap in the House of Representatives.
That's
went from Nancy Pelosi to the Republicans being in control. What difference did that make, Greg?
Well, it's a huge difference because, in that first term when we were in the minority from 2009 to 11 till we got the reinforcements in the 2010 election, it was loaded up. They put everything through. And remember, they planned to put Obamacare, they tried to get it done early, and it was delayed until sometime in 2010 in that spring, where they would want it to get it in 2009, and by delaying it for almost a year on them getting it through, they didn't get to their other baby, which was cap and trade, which, as bad as Obamacare is, cap and trade would have been as bad or worse. And so what we've been able to do is you can do a lot of blocking and tackling, and if we didn't have control of the House, if Republicans didn't control it, we would have been at a point I don't know that we could have recovered from. So we're very pleased with the ability to stop them from getting anything through toxic, but it's still in a divided government. It's probably the most frustrating thing I've ever tried to do.
Yeah, I want you to explain that to our listeners because I think they need to hear from somebody like you. And let me just say this, and I could say this about some of your other colleagues. I can vouch for Gregg's commitment to the Lord and his commitment to the Constitution and to limited government and freedom and liberty. So his credentials are well established there, and I would say that But here's what a lot of people don't understand, even in our movement. And I know, Greg, you catch this sometimes too,
yes.
and people mean well, and they want to say, Greg, why aren't you doing more? And is it you said the word frustrating. here's where I want you to explain to our listeners what is the reality, or what is the frustrating part about your job.
Well, the thing is, I realize I can't do everything, but I can do some things, and you try to do what you can.
You're one of 400. You're one of 435 congressmen.
One of 435, but there's some things you can do.
Okay.
And one we did, it passed the Senate yesterday. It was a bill that I worked on for a long time, and it passed the House last year under suspension. The Democratic House leadership, trashed the bill, didn't want it to go through, but we still got about 80 Democrats to join us. And it's the Gabriella Miller Kids First Research Act.
Yes.
And so what it does is it takes, this may come as a surprise, Ed and Tim, that sometimes we spend money on stuff we got no business spending money on. I know that's shocking, probably to some of the listeners here.
Wow.
But one of the things that we spend taxpayer money on that we've got no business spending is taxpayer funding of political party conventions every 4 years. And so this bill, what it did is it eliminated the funding for that, the equivalent of about $126 million over a 10-year period. That's a substantial amount of money. And instead, it ends that taxpayer funding of the conventions, and instead it pushes the money over to the National Institutes of Health, NIH, for additional pediatric research based upon collaboration, where you have two or more groups making projects, whether it's juvenile diabetes, or, could be autism, Fragile X syndrome, could be pediatric multiple sclerosis, spinal muscular atrophy. And so what it does is it pushes additional research dollars over there that will have a positive effect in the long term. And so, that's something that we're able to push through. The Senate agreed to do it yesterday and passed it. And,
Great.
And so we had a bill signing by the Speaker yesterday. It's gone to the Vice President and then to the President. And so that's something that at least, it eliminates an area we shouldn't spend money on, puts it on some place that at least does some good.
Yeah.
Another example, and of course, Tim, my son Livingston has Fragile X syndrome. So one of the things that we did when I first when I practiced law, I hired students out of Pearl High School, our local high school, to come, usually hired one a semester to come work part-time in my law office and to give them some work experience. And then when I got up here, there was no such program for students with intellectual disabilities on Capitol Hill. So about 4 years ago, we started a pilot program using 5 Republican classmates of mine that volunteered to help, using students from George Mason University. These kids came in, did great work. It's a permanent program. So we have about 20 to 25 students from George Mason University with intellectual disabilities that come up and work in House and Senate offices, Republicans and Democrats. They do that each week, every semester, and it costs the taxpayers no money. But it gives incredible hope to a lot of these families.
Absolutely. Well, that's two good things that have happened and are happening. One last comment. I got about a minute left here. Until changes are made in the Senate, a lot of what you guys do in the House, you're going back and forth with Harry Reid. He sits on a lot of stuff, doesn't he?
Well,
Or
that's
tears
another
it up?
reason. That's another reason I was shocked yesterday going through the airport in Atlanta on my international flight, by the way, that when I found out that the bill had passed. And so there's, we passed dozens and dozens of bills on Obamacare to make it easier on people, or to repeal it or defund it or whatever, and they're just dead in the Senate.
Yeah.
So this year politically is an incredibly important year, and we're certainly hoping for some change.
Well, Greg, we got to run, but we thank you so much for your work and all the.
And congratulations on the passage of this bill.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks much, and you guys, thanks for all you do to keep us informed, and you've got a great show and a great audience.
Yeah.
So I'm just always enjoy being with you. Hope you have a great day.
All right. Talk to you later. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's the United States House of Representatives member Gregg Harper, representing the 3rd District of the state of Mississippi.